Salutations, my friend, and welcome. Today we are going to be taking a look at the very last lines of Vergil's first Eclogue, that being 79 through 83. It has been quite a while going through this, and was it Alex? Yeah, I think it was Alex. Thank you for asking me to do this. This has been a lot of fun and very interesting, and I hope it has been for you as well. So with this marks the end of what the work that I'm going to be doing on Vergil, at least for a while. If you watched through to the end of the previous video, then you'll know that I intend to start up the second Eclogue sometime in 2020, maybe July. And that depends on a lot of different things, what's going on, and how moving back stateside is going to be working out for me. So, no worries about that. You should expect Eclogue 2 some point. I don't know how long that is from here. But let's get started. Last time on Vergil's Eclogue. And there you have it. Here is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's get started. Hic tamen, hanc mecum poteras requiscere noctem, fronde super viridi. Sunt nobis mitia poma, castaneae moles, et pressi copia lactis, et iam summa procul villarum culmina fumant, maiorsque cadunt altis de montibus umbrae. That's a wonderful way to end this. So, hic is this adverb that we've seen multiple times beforehand, and it just means here at this place. Tamen, of course, means butter, however. We want our verb, which we find right here with poteros, from possum. So, possum, posse, potui. Since there's no u, then we know that this is not the pluperfect tense with the eras ending, but instead possum's kind of irregular imperfect tense, second person singular. All right, so here Tityrus is replying back to Melobius, and he's telling him that you were able, used to be able, began to be able, kept being able. Now, I don't know which one of those makes most sense here. And then we want to find an infinitive, which none of these are, but we do have with right here requiscere, re, that's a present, active, infinitive. All right, so before we move on any further than that, let's go back to tamen. Here, however, all right, now hunk with that A-N-C right there, we know is this demonstrative accusative singular and feminine, and we want to find another accusative singular feminine, which we have with noctem right here. There's no preposition with either of these. And requiscere does not normally take an object, so then that means we've got a special use of the accusative. And the best option here, especially since we have noctem, is accusative of duration of time. So here, however, for this night, and now we can translate poteras requiscere, you, just going to go with the simple imperfect, were, though it sounds a bit odd in English, or what he might be going, what he might mean here is, in the same way that the Romans used habeo in the imperfect, habebam, he was having means that he had and he continued to have. It was a progressive ownership. So that might actually be what's meant here. You were able and you are able is a progressive meaning of that. So maybe I'll put two different translations. You were able, and I guess the only other option is a present. So you were, you are able. But of course, the preferred is going to be the imperfect to more closely match the Latin. To, and this would be rest or repose, which is a great word. And then the last bit of this line is me cum. Cum, of course, takes the ablative, and this is a common, I forget what type of word this is, but we see this all the time. Cum, when it's with pronouns, is always going to come as tacked on as a suffix. So, with me. And then, fronde super viridi. Super is going to take the ablative here. Viridi we saw previously, we know this means green. And fronde is a feminine. Or I think it can also be neuter in some instances, but I'm going to treat it as a feminine for now. And then these three go together. And now, normally we would translate super to mean over, and that could be what's meant here. In which case I would think you would be rest here with us on the leaves, the green leaves, or in some cases super can mean that the prepositional phrase itself is standing over something else, in which case we translate it as, from the subject's point of view, under. So that's how I'm going to treat it here. Under. And let's go with foliage. Okay. So then this is a wonderful thing here. Tityrus has gone through and he's explained his great fortune at the sort of mercy of Octavian. And then Meliboeus, he's without a home. He looks like all that he has are his cattle, that he's going to wander off who knows where. And then Tityrus, though he's been kind of a braggart up to this point, we see some compassion in him as he offers Meliboeus here one more night's stay with him, and that's just wonderful. I love that. All right, sunt nobis. Sunt is, of course, a third plural present, active, indicative. Nobis, that's going to be dative, so we don't need an ablative with sunt. And we see here with mitia poma. Poma is our noun, and we know that this one is neuter. So this will be a nominative plural neuter in this case, with mitia modifying it. And mitia just means a mild, soft, or ripe. And ripe, I think, is the best option with poma. So there are, dative of possession, to us, ripe fruits. And then we take a look here. Castanai moles, AE right there, could be another nominative plural with sunt and nobis. And that seems to make a lot of sense. Our clause comes to an end there. And though we do have presi, we don't have an indicative verb. So, yeah, nominative plural, feminine, and then moles, can be modifying that as an adjective, es of the third declension, And this one means soft, tender, pliant, or supple. And since castanine, that word, means chestnut tree or chestnuts, I think would be chestnuts in this case. I don't know which of the meanings for moles, because I don't really eat chestnuts. They're not in my area that I'm aware of. So, I guess I'm going to go with tender. And then the last part, again repeating sunt nobis. And presi from premo, premere, I think presi, pressum. So that I right there is going to be going with lactis, which is a genitive singular, neuter. And then copia, with that A right there, we know that copia is often used in the plural neuter. And it would be copious, large amounts, supplies. I think I'm just going to go with copious. Copious, and then, well, in the Latin it has genitive, so it would be copious of having been pressed milk. I think in this case we're just going to cut out the of so it flows better in English, and I think that's it makes sense. So yeah, that's sufficient. But for presi, genitive, singular, neuter, perfect, passive, participle. And then I don't know if this will refer to butter, maybe. It might refer to cream cheese. Maybe curds. I don't know. I don't remember now if the commentary said anything about that. But that's an option. We already know previously one way of saying cream cheese. You'll have to look back at the beginning of the video and find that page. It's passed me by. And then there is a Latin word for butter. So I think just for poetic reason, he's used these three words when just one would have been sufficient. Okay, let's move on. And yam, this can mean now or already. So I'm going to leave that alone until we have the rest of the context. Here is our verb, fumo, fumare, I think it is. So first conjugation, it's going to be third plural, present, active, and indicative. So now we want to find a plural subject. Culmina, that could work. Villarum cannot, and summa cannot. Fumo does not need an object, so summa culmina, I think that works. Culmen, culminis, it's going to be neuter. Nominative plural. Neut. Nominative plural. Neut. Okay, so the summit of the top, the highest point of the roof's ridge. So you might think the chimney's there. And then with villarum, that long A right there, A-R-U-M, is going to be genitive, plural, and feminine. So yeah, I think chimneys does make the most sense right there. And then fumo means to smoke, to steam, to reek with odor. Probably not that one. But at the very least, the chimneys of the villas are smoking. And procul we saw previously in the last video of this, and this one means far, at a distance, from a distance. And I think since we went with far last time, or did we? No, we went with from a distance, so I'm going to be consistent in translating and use from a distance again. Yam, I think, already works with this, because it looks like Tantarus is speaking about the end of the day, especially since he just talked to Meliboeus about staying the night. So, and already. Moving on, maiorsque. So we get this que connecting this clause with this clause. So cadunt is our verb right there in T. Third plural. And this is present tense, as we don't have an ER right there or anything else. Okay, so fall, what falls? Well, mayores, that could be the nominative plural, especially since cadent doesn't want an object. The es makes most sense as nominative instead of accusative. Altis and montibus, they don't work. De is right there to govern them anyway. But umbrae here with the ae, that makes a lot of sense as a nominative plural, matching with maiorosque. Okay, so then last thing to figure out is altis de montibus. De wants to take the ablative and its object, which we clearly have with his ibus. And this is a first or second declension adjective, so altus, alta, altum. That is right there matches with the ibus as a dative or ablative. With the preposition, we know ablative. Singular, and mons, montibus. You'd think, since I had to look this up twice already in working on this, I would remember. I think feminine, but probably masculine. All right, prepositional phrase ends right there. So, and the greater clouds. I suppose shadow is another option, cloud or shadow. I think I'm going to go with shadow. The greater shadows fall de from the altis montibus high and then what a way to end this. The very last line is also the close of the day. That's just beautiful writing on Vergil's part. Well, there we have it. Thank you very much for joining me. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go read from line 1, so this is going to take a while. You can stop the video if you want here, or you can keep with me through the end of that, reading all 83 lines. My voice is going to be shot for the rest of the day. Well, there you go. I hope, if you are leaving now, that you have a very good life. But for those who stayed, dear one viewer, let us begin. Tityrus, you lying back under the cover of the open beech tree, I preserve the wooded muse. You meditate with the reed pipe or oaten pipe. We, the boundaries of homeland and ourselves leave. We, the boundaries of our homeland and ourselves leave the sweet plowed land. We ourselves flee the fatherland. You, Tityrus, yourself, apathetic in a shadow, teach Amarylida to echo beautiful. You teach beautiful Amarylida to echo throughout the woods. O Meliboeus, God made these leisures for us. For indeed that one will be to me always God. That one's altar often a youthful lamb will stain from our sheepfolds. That one permits my cattle to wander as you perceive, and myself to play. What I might wish with a rustic reed pipe. Verily, indeed, I do not envy. I wonder greatly. From everywhere, at every point, so far, it is thrown into confusion. Lo, I myself lead, while sick, the she-goats forward. Tityrus also I lead this one scarcely. Here among the dense hazel trees, having just, indeed, twins, the hope of the flock. In the open crag she brought forth with difficulty. Often the lightning touched oaks. If mind might not have been foolish, from heaven foretold, I remember that, this evil to us. Often the perverse crow foretold from the hollow holm oak. But, however, whoever that God may be, give, O Tityrus, to us. The city, which they say Rome, O Meliboeus, I, my stupid self, have thought similar to ours, for which often we shepherds are accustomed to drive the tender babies of the dams. Thus likewise I had thought whelps similar to the dogs, thus kids with mothers. Thus I was accustomed to bring together the great ones with the small. Truly this raised up its head so much among other cities, as far as cypresses are accustomed among the tough guelder rose. And what has been for you so great a cause for seeing Rome? Liberty, which of late, however, I lacked which at late, however, looked back at a sluggard, after the whiter beard began to fall to the barber. However, it regarded, and after a long time comes after Amaryllis has us. Galatia left us. For, indeed, I truly will confess, while Galatia was holding me, neither was there hope of liberty, nor care for savings, although many victims went out from my walls. And cheese is pressed for ungrateful city. Not ever heavy with bronze was my right hand returning home for me. I used to wonder, why sad Amaryllis, were you calling the gods, for which you suffered your own fruits to hang down in the tree? Tityrus was gone from there. Tityrus, the first trees themselves, the fountains themselves, these the plantations themselves call you. What might I do? Indeed, it was not granted me to leave servitude, nor so far to know the divines while I was present elsewhere. There I saw that young man, Meliboeus, for how many years? Twice 6 at a time, for whom our high altars fumed for days. There, right at the start, that man gave a response to me, the petitioner. Feed as before. Cattle, O boys, rear your bulls. Happily, O elder, therefore your farms will remain, and great fullness to you, although bare rocks cover all your farms, and marsh covers grazing lands with slimy rushes. Unaccustomed nourishment of the ailing will not tempt the pregnant ones, nor will neighbors' flocks evil contagions strike. Happily, O elder, here among known rivers and sacred things of the fountain, you will seize cool shade. From where to you, which always, from neighboring byway, hedges with willows, Hibalian bee, having fed with flower. Yeah, I think I'm going to change that. Often, with light buzzing, will persuade you to go into sleep. From where, under the high crags, the pruner will sing to the winds. Neither, however, meanwhile, by your care, the raucous wood pigeons, nor will the turtle dove cease to sigh from the airy elm. Therefore, before the light stags are pastured in the flat surface, and the straits forsake on the shore bear fish, before you wander through the boundaries of each other an exile, or the Parthian will drink from the Arar, or Germany the tiger, as that one's face falls from our heart. But we ourselves from here will go to Libya, of another thirsting. Part to Scythia, and we will come to the Oxus, which snatches chalk, and inwardly into divided Britain from the whole world. Lo, ever long past the time will I wander at the paternalness of my boundary, and the roof masked with sod of my poor hut. After seeing some of my kingdoms, will I wonder at the corns? Will a so impious soldier have these plowed again cultivated lands? A barbarian these cornfields? Lo, from whom a discordant citizen extended the miseries. For these men we ourselves sowed the fields. How replant, O Melobius, the pear trees. Now replant, O Melobius, the pear trees. Place in order of the vine. Go, my things, once fortunate flock, go, she-goats. I myself will not see you hereafter, having been abandoned in a green cave. I will not see from a distance bushes hanging from the crag. I will sing no more songs. While I was feeding she-goats, you will not graze on flowering clover and pungent willows. Here, however, for this night you are able to rest with me under the green foliage. There are to us ripe fruits, tender chestnuts, and copious pressed milk. And already from a distance the heights of the roof ridges of the villas smoke, and the greater shadows fall from the high mountains.